Well, this isn't awkward. I've got a stranger on my island who's just finished talking to one of my villagers who's in boxes and on their way out, and finishing a trade in Nook Mile tickets in exchange. Well, that's what today's video is about. What's up YouTube? It's Alexi Giovani here, and I'm back for another video on Animal Crossing New Horizons, and today we're covering off the topic of trading villagers to others on the internet and the Animal Crossing community. Villagers come and go, so why not make the most of your latest departure by sharing their love to someone else and potentially get something in return? Often these deals are struck with strangers, so it's very important to welcome them to your island. And the straight step after that is escorting them to the villager in question. In this case, it was a very short trip. The usual etiquette when it comes to trading villagers is giving half now and half later, and that keeps both parties safe. So if anything goes wrong with the transaction, you only lose or gain half of what was promised. So trading villagers isn't necessarily limited to just Nook Mile tickets, but they're often used as a gauge of how popular a particular villager is. So in this case, I'm trading for 60 in total for Diana, which is a pretty reasonable get, but you can use combinations of things like bells, Nook Mile tickets, resources that you use for crafting, but at this point, this is where we wait for the negotiations to happen. They're now talking to the villager inside and organizing to move them from my island to their island. And so let's check to see how that's gone. And right now we're just double checking that everything's okay, and they're transferring the rest of the transaction. So the second half. So this is pretty much where we finish the deal. So we just make sure that everything's okay. They're obviously happy with it. They're dropping the rest of it. And on the flip side, having been the other side of the fence, I've experienced this myself, so I'm excited to try and get this particular villager back to my island. And it's not until they leave the island where this takes effect, so we still have to wait for them to depart, and the game is saved, and at that point is where it actually is set in concrete. So let's hop inside the house and see what happens as they leave. Now, I've never done this before, so let's see what happens. Now at this point, this is where the game is being saved as the person departs. And do take this opportunity to comment below, what's the most that you've spent when it comes to trading a villager? And check this out, I've never seen this before myself. So I've seen villagers in boxes coming in and out of places, but I've never seen a house completely empty. Would you call this a glitch or a feature? So let's make the most of it. I guess there's only so much you can do in an empty room, but let's head on to the next stage of this, which is what do you do with the Nook Mile tickets once you've got them? But before we do, let's not lose this opportunity to just have a play in this empty room here. Now, had I not been trapped inside their house, this is what you would normally experience once they've moved out. It would have a note on their door saying that they've moved out, but the villager that's been traded wouldn't be available to their island until their brand new day starts, but to us, they've moved out. Well, thanks Diana, you've been awesome on the island, but it's time for us to find someone new. So let's see who we find. And this is where you make the most of those Nook Mile tickets that you have. So you go on a big splurge of Nook Mile tickets to try and find a villager that you want. I'm looking for one of 3 types of the New Horizons specific exclusive types. One of them is Megan, which is a normal type. And I'm super stoked to have found her, but do stick around for a video that's coming up soon, which I rank all of my villagers from 10 to 1. So now's a great chance for you to hit that bell notification icon and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know in the comments below, what's the most number of Nook Mile tickets you've spent on finding the villager that you really want? Now let's have a look and take stock take on how many tickets we used in this particular transaction. So off we go home and check to see what the profit is. So in this case, I started with 60 and I'm left with 44. So it took us a mere 16 to find a villager that I really wanted. And with all villager hunts, it's never complete unless you go to that board and double check that who you've invited is actually there. And with that, that brings us to the end of this particular video. If you have enjoyed it, hit that like button. This is Alexi Giovani signing off, and until next time, see ya!